and welcome to another video on the Elimination game, the skeleton code for the AQA AS Summer Exam 2026. I've done some previous videos on this. The first video is probably the one to watch first, because that's the one where I've run through the code and various issues with it, and the subsequent videos where I've made amendments to the program, fixed some bugs, and such like that may or may not come up on the exam. Today I'm going to show you another potential exam question because this is definitely a bug with the program. So I'll show you what it is. I'll start the program. I'll play the game, A1 to A4, B1 to B4, C1 to C4, D1 to D4. Now, I've cleared the board, and now I'm stuck. There's no moves that can be made. The game should have ended, but it hasn't. Okay, let me show you the rules. Okay, so this is the rule. The game is won when a single, let's highlight that a bit better. The game is won when a single tile remains on the board. The player who has made the previous move has won the game. Okay, so you can see that there's an obvious bug here. The last player, player 2, has removed 4 tiles when they should really have only moved 3 to leave the opponent with just 1 tile. So that's not what's happened here. Let's have a look at the code. So I'm going to do Control and F. I'm going to check end game. Check game over. Okay, so this check game over is called further down. So in the play game here. So each time the game is played, we've got a valid move. We flip over the player at this particular point. Player 1 becomes player 2, or vice versa. Then we check the game is over. Now, game over, check game over returns a Boolean value of either true or false. If it's true, it then sets this value, game over, equal to true, prints the message to say who's won the game, and it will break out of this while loop here for game over because it has now been set to true. Let's have a look at the check game over. This is just returning simply a Boolean value. It goes across the board, checking and adding up the remaining tiles. Okay, so it's a nested loop. It goes across the rows and then across the columns for each row and adds 1 to the remaining tiles, which is set to 0 here. If remaining is equal to 1, well, that's basically the value that's returned, remaining equal to 1. If it's equal to 1, it will return true, else it will return a false. We've actually left it with 0 tiles. So I'm going to make some changes to this. First of all, I'm going to change this check game over to count tiles. Okay, I'm going to rename it just to give it a better description. Count tiles. Okay, and I'm actually going to just return the amount of tiles. And we need to change that to int because we're returning a integer value. Okay, so that's that done. We'll go back to the game. Play game, it was a bit lower, wasn't it? There we go. So here we've got the main play game. We're in that while loop. This check game over doesn't exist anymore. What we need to do is check if two conditions are met. First of all, we're going to go to set a value called tiles left equal to 1. Oh, sorry, equal to count tiles. Okay. Then we're going to check what tiles left is. So if tiles left is equal to 1, then we're going to set game over equal to true. Winner is this can remain the same, I think. The winner is the person who didn't make the last move. So I think we can leave that and display the board and the console read line. Okay. If, however, that is not the case, we're going to do an else if just to check if the tiles left has been left to 0. And if it is, we're also going to set the game over equal to true. We're going to set the winner equal to the next player. And then we're going to return and say that the game is over. Okay, it would help if I put some quotes around that. display the board. Put a colon there. Okay, display the board to finish. And then we do a console read line. Something like that. Let's get rid of that. Okay, so let's correct that. Okay, put a colon at the end. Right. So let's give that a test. Okay, A1 to A4, B1 to B4, C1 to C4, B1 to B4. Okay, so player 2 has inadvertently got rid of everything. Game over, player 1 wins. Okay, let's just check to see if it works when we leave one tile left. A1 to A4, B1 to B4, C1 to C4, D1 to D3. Okay, it looks like what I haven't done is just said, oh no, there we go, player 2 wins. Okay, and it's given the correct result. I forgot we did the display board at the end after the program ran. So that correctly traps those two potential conditions and solves the bug. Okay, so that's another problem solved. And so concludes this video. Thanks for watching, and until the next video. Thank you.